Today we are analyzing multi-client logos from LogoGround. My name is Andre Leroux. Let's begin. We start today with a cute cat logo. There are three mistakes here that I want to show you. The first one is the small details. If we zoom in on this part here, there is a tiny bit of the background visible. That gap might as well be closed up. Also, the toes are too small and the white line inside the straw is too small. These small details will not work when the logo is scaled down. The next mistake is a lack of attention to detail in several places, like this part here and this unnecessary spike and some misalignment here. All of that needs to be tidied up. But the main issue with this logo is that we previously approved this logo by the same designer. If we compare the shape of the head of this guy with the shape of the head from this guy, then the problem becomes clear. Now, this is not plagiarism. This is the same designer reusing part of a design. The problem is twofold. First, if two people buy these two logos, the copyright becomes a mess. And second, it just looks bad. It looks like mass production, and this reduces the perceived value of your work. You absolutely cannot recycle parts of a design. Once a logo is approved, every part of that logo is off limits. Next up, we have a tree logo. This is fairly generic. It's easy to find many trees like this. I do appreciate the fact that the designer tried to make it unique by adding the ones and zeros at the bottom. That's not bad. It almost works. It almost succeeds in making this design unique enough. However, when we view this logo at a smaller scale, those ones and zeros almost completely disappear, and then it's just a generic tree again. The point here is that the thing that makes your logo unique must be the main thing and must remain clearly visible no matter what size the logo is. By the way, alignment matters. Next logo, here we have two horses or heads of horses and a spear and what seems to be a DNA strand. I'm not convinced by the anatomy of those horses. They kind of look like dogs to me, or somewhere between horses and dogs. Also, this bend in their necks doesn't look right, almost like they have broken necks. And it might be just me, but they kind of look like they are impaled on the spear. I feel we might be looking at two dead horses here. What's left of them anyway. In terms of the concept or subject matter, I think there is still some work to be done. And the composition could be improved. The shape of the design does not correspond very well to the oval shape around the outside. This leaves us with large open areas inside the oval. Open areas are fine, but this seems very random, like the designer wanted to add a border shape and an oval just happened to be the first thing that came to mind. It would be much better here to experiment with many different shapes to try to find a better harmony between the design and the border. Next up, we have a jumping tiger logo. This is definitely not bad. I like it. But again, the anatomy needs some work. The hind leg is quite small and smaller than the front leg. The foot on the hind leg also seems to bend the wrong way, and the tail is far too small for the body. I do not like the distribution of the stripes. These three stripes feel like ribs to me, and then we have a few stripes at the front and nothing at the back. It seems somewhat half-hearted. I think this tiger needs many more stripes. Another issue with this logo is the description. It reads, "Modern, simple jumping tiger logo, great for any business." Really? Any business? The problem with that is that it is not true. I might have a business with a name like Jumping Rabbit Enterprises, and I'm sorry, but no, this logo would not be a great logo for that business. It is tempting to add a note like that to your descriptions, to say that it is a great logo for any business, or to say that it will work well as a social media icon and so on. But don't. Only add information that is absolutely true for this particular logo. And the next logo, letter A leaf logo. There are many mistakes here. The first and most obvious mistake is the typo in the text. There is such a thing as a company. There is no such thing as a company. The typography is also quite bad. The name and the tagline both use very ordinary fonts, and they are not the same font. If you're going to use more than one font in a logo, you want them to complement one another, and also be different enough to clearly be two different fonts. If you're fairly new to logo design, play it safe by using only one font per logo. There are some inconsistencies in this design. For example, the leaves have a gap between them and the letter to create the overlap of the leaves. But then where the letter overlaps this checkmark shape, there is no gap, only a shadow. You can have two different types of overlaps in one logo, but you have to have a good reason for it. For the most part, consistency is the better option. As with the previous logo, the description is a problem. Here is the complete description that the designer entered. Let's try to read it. A natural logo with a shape, smooth, sweet and catchy, suitable for various branding needs such as health, real estate, etc. Easy use to any shape like website, brochure. Responsiveness can be applied to various media, suitable for use as an app icon. Right. English is not my first language either, and I know that it is a weird language, but this description is a word salad. It kind of sounds like English, and that's about it. On LogoGround, the focus will always be on the image, not the text. If you create a beautiful logo, we want to approve your logo, even if the title or description is a little subpar. But there is obviously a minimum standard for the title and description, and this description falls well below that standard. Use Google Translate. You can type or even speak in your own language and have Google translate it for you to English, and then simply copy the English and paste it as your description on LogoGround. Very easy, very effective. Okay, that is it for today. More logos next time. Thanks for watching.